the information that we talk about, because I'm not always great at the taking of the notes. Okay, share screen. Okay, so I haven't really added anything since yesterday, but I do want to go over all of the sections. So the first one, and this is where, like we can add, you know, why use a sandbox? So if we need like more specific examples, or as you're reading through this, like I wrote training access to Ex Libris OTB. So if that needs to say out of the box accounts, for clarity, or something else, or like default accounts. Yeah, I don't know. Default? Does that sound like understandable if someone's looking at this? And then I just kept writing SM because it takes a lot. Yeah. Yeah, developing new workflow, integrations, API testing. What did she said something about like, we're gonna, I'm just gonna like add, not information integration. Okay, so then policies and best practices. This was a section where I did my best grad school research technique of copy and paste from 6 other people's examples and then keep what I like and kind of change it for us. So I do want to read through it to make sure it makes sense for us. So refreshed annually on a staggered schedule. The refresh will be announced on the listserv, and the sandbox may be unavailable for, and there's like supposed to be like an X days, because I don't remember how much it was from that email she sent me, but I'll find out. After refresh, the service manager will reload named user accounts and basic configuration settings. All other data and configurations will revert to Ex Libris default. So I think that is like a pretty good summary of, what she talked to us about on Tuesday. So then I've got, do not delete anything you did not create. Preserve all training examples and configuration. You can create additional examples, propose configuration changes in the Sandbox forum. So I did create, I don't know how many people had a chance to like go in and check out my new little forums that I created. But that way we can actually have conversations over many months or years, and it's not like a confusing thing to try and find them in the listserv by, did I call it Sandbox? Did I use the word configuration? What are my search terms? Where did I save that? So yeah. And then, okay, so more than one person can be logged into a sandbox using the same username. So like if you are doing training for a bunch of students who are going to do like circ or acquisitions work, you could use the same default username for all of them. And then if you get a default username to use for trainings, we just don't want to change the passwords or the roles for those, because it could just create confusion. Although if it happens, I can log in and change it back. No big deal. I have to know. Analytics module is not available in sandboxes, although you will see like that there is a little tile for it because there's a few little like visibility setting things, but actually doing analytics is not there. So this Number 5 was one that I pulled from, was it CUNY or California? Um, and I thought it was probably just good advice, but it's certainly not, I mean, like, I don't think it's going to matter because we just don't have as many or as large of use. But there is a limit on the size of files and like the number of like non-ex libris records that you can add into their standard sandboxes. Um, so if you're testing um, import profiles or we're doing norm rule tests and things like that, we'll try and keep those sets small, just so that we're not flooding the system and maxing it out. Although I don't think I've ever heard of anyone actually hitting that limit. Um, the sandboxes, and this is based on documentation, so and I never really do know when the documentation was last updated. So I'm like, maybe that's different now. But they are set to block email. So if you do need to like test letters, feel free to go in and say and change the allowed emails, and then try, only use staff. But we won't have user emails in there, I don't think, unless you're trying to do some kind of like practice batch user changing thing. Anywho, um, but this is one too where if everybody says, yeah, no, we definitely need emails, I can make this part of the setup and just have it set to allow emails when I reset it up, and like configure before after the refresh. Um, but in case someone's like, nope, we'd rather not even accidentally maybe send an email. Yeah. Okay. So the sandboxes are also configured to block SFTP stuff. And since we may be doing testing with CTC Link or the Ex Libris uh, servers, then we may need to turn that on. But this one I just figured was not a very common use for us. But if you do need it, you can turn it on if you need it. And these are exactly the kind of changes that like just announcing it on your Sandbox forum so everyone knows like, hey, went in and turned on emails. Each sandbox has their own, so you don't even have to say like which sandbox, you just go into your own. If you have any issues, just let me know. Include screenshots and video captures. I don't even know what HAR files are, but I thought, someone might, and that was in someone else's documentation. And if Ex Libris asks me for stuff, um, you know, I want to be able to give them as much as possible to support you. If you've got a long-term project going on, you probably want to keep your own records of how you're configuring things. Um, Put an announcement on the forum, like maybe like, hey, I'm doing this stuff. I'll be in here for the next 2 weeks. And then if you need it to be created again, just know that it will, what was it Lindsay said? Nuke and repave. It will be nuked following the refresh. So I think there's potentially room to take out some of these if we decide as a group, like we can just, like have these set up, and it will move into my protocol. Or, there's additional detail uh, if you want. Oh, let me share this with you guys and then you can comment on it. That would be like, okay, come on. Oh, thanks, Bobby. HAR files are video files that record your screen. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so feel free to jump in and comment question. Um, okay, so then structure and assignment. We've got three. They'll be loaded with the basic campus library and fulfillment unit structure. Each one will have a resource sharing library. It comes with like 70,000 item records. And then there's, like the institution zone and there's community zone. We don't have a network zone, so NBD. Um, every institution will be assigned to one of these. And then um, anyone at your institution who needs like ongoing access, here's the form and we can take a look at that. And this is not like an approval thing. I love it. Oh, email twice. Cool. I'll fix that. But it's not an approval thing. It's a records keeping thing. Just ensures that I have accuracy from, refresh to refresh. So your email, your name, your institution. This is just, so like I can set you up to start and you don't have to go in and try and add roles to yourself. I'll just create like some profiles or whatever. And that way we've got, and like you can click multiple. Again, this was one that I borrowed. And then if you specifically need something else, you can add a comment. And then this little like reason you need access. So if we have a project group, for example, that is working on something and it includes people who would normally be assigned to different sandboxes, obviously I would, we all want to work together in the same sandbox. So, like this would be where you'd be like, oh, I'm in the norm rules group and we are working in the Bellevue sandbox. So even though I'm not normally in that sandbox, I need an account. And then this is really just to let me know like, oh, it's a super short-term project. Or, like I only need it, or maybe you've got a temporary staff person who's coming in, a contract person, and you don't need the account refreshed, or you are the systems lead. So this is the please, for the love, Carly, make sure my account gets reset up option. So I think this will, it'll be a really good way to keep track of who has accounts. If it gets to a point where we need to rebalance institutions, I can very quickly then be like, okay, here are all the accounts from that institution that need to be moved to this other sandbox. So I'm I'm happy to have another record keeping tool there. The forum, and this was my first foray into creating a forum. I just created like some general no thanks topics, and the name of these can change. I do like the apples idea, because then I can name like the campuses after like other Washington things, or like, we can have some fun with it so that absolutely no one gets confused about whether or not they're in the sandbox or like a real institution, because why not? So yeah, I thought this would be a great place to be able to have like kind of slower, longer conversations. The listserv is great for that immediate feedback, but then if we're like, wait, didn't we have a discussion about this? And then we're going back and we're trying to search it. And plus, like you do have to register. And as admin, I can make sure that, like no one's getting access to that, because I think like right now, because the CTC listservs are like, some of the settings are managed above me. And so like anyone can go in and view our archives. Um, so yeah, I love that the web person from SBCTC was concerned about our website having information open to the public. And I'm like, sweetie, you know, like we're a state organization and we have listservs and people are idiots, right? But maybe she didn't. So anyway, we'll see if this takes off. I don't like those CTC ones. They're just annoying and difficult to use. So if this takes off, great. If not, it's another tool, and at the very least, we have our Sandbox forums in here. So this is where I would love to get feedback today. So we have the different like institutions assigned, and then the basic configuration I was going to start with. So I'd any kind of details on configuration of things like that you use it for, that you want to see. We will have the acquisitions module active in all of them. I'm not quite sure how or whether it's possible to like have Rialto in the Sandbox, but I was going to ask them about that. And then if anyone, you know, like if the mediums want Leganto in the Sandbox to try out, you know, we can do that. Abby?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone, like all of these institutions are represented on this call or even on Tuesday or regularly. Would you be able to facilitate getting each Sandbox group together so that we can share in these community agreements and maybe even introduce ourselves in case there are questions or that type of thing? Would that be something you could help with?
Oh yeah. I would love to see that happen. I don't want to like act like this is super urgent. So but yeah, like as soon as, you know, groups could get together, start introducing themselves, you know, start applying for the, you know, named user accounts. I will send I'll send this out to the Alma listserv to hit any of the leads or systems people that don't regularly make it to this meeting, and probably send a few reminders before we do any of the refreshes. But yeah, I'm just I'm really hopeful that like this will be a like a super awesome like knowledge sharing tool for us. So yeah. Anyway, so so like I try to just average. I can I did what did I look up? I looked up in everybody's Alma whether or not you'd identified like a campus code or not, or had multiple campuses, how many libraries were active. I looked up your FTEs because I figured that was more or less the best measure of potentially how many staff they're funding at your libraries. I looked up, what else? Oh, the number of user groups that people have. And so while it's not listed under configuration, because you guys can create your own user groups as you need, and I will have a user group for the do not delete export before refresh users. A lot of these these groupings also kind of reflect how many user groups people are using. Kirsty, sorry, you're in a class of your own on number of using groups.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah, like the next highest is 16. Kirsty, like they have user groups for every single institution. Plus, like, yeah.
Plus all of the students who take classes simultaneously at multiple colleges.
So every little combination of the 3 campuses, and then faculty and staff that are multiple campuses. And
no. Actually, no. We
oh no, that's right. You've got just the
because if we had so first of all, in CTC Link, we can't, like, there's no reasonable way to find out when people are working at multiple sites. Also, if we had tried to figure out, like, was somebody faculty at a specific campus and or staff at a specific campus and or student, taking classes, like the total number of combinations was upwards of 700. And just no. So we do the combinations for students at specific campuses, but then the libraries agreed that any employee of Seattle colleges gets the same treatment at any Seattle College library, because otherwise it was just unmanageable.
Yeah. Okay, great question in chat from Amy, and this is a place where I would love some feedback, or we can definitely tweak, is the assignment of libraries by campus. So the first one campus, 2 libraries, not that straightforward. Second one, I've got 2 campuses, 3 libraries. And so I think for that one, I was going to do 1 campus with 1 library and 1 with 2 libraries. Because that way, like not all of these institutions have 2 campuses, but some have multiple libraries, and that way folks who only have 1 campus can look at having 1 or 2 libraries, and if people have 2 campuses, they can look at it with 1 or multiple libraries, if that makes sense. But I could up the number of libraries as well, or I could like up it to 4 and like, yeah. And then this one, obviously the configuration on the biggest one will be the most kind of like, what are we doing? But I'll basically try and like create so like the 3 campuses, none will have the same number of libraries. And I'll make sure that, like some of the libraries have reserves and, maybe some don't, or maybe, some have closed stacks and some don't, and things like that. But any notes or comments on those kinds of details, things you're like, oh, I need to test how, terms of use are going to work with X material type or something like that. Or, like, I tried to do like an analysis of on the not fulfillment units, but the like fulfillment rules, because some people like label the groups like book, media, equipment, and then other people have it like main, reserves, closed, and then other people have it like length of loan, so end of quarter, 20 days, and there was too much variability. So I'll probably just let whatever Ex Libris has as default be there, and then if you need things changed for a project you're doing, you can just put that information in the forum so that other people don't then mess with it, or they can add additional ones if they need to for something else. But Yeah, so as far as like distributing libraries to campuses, um, does the one with one and one with two make sense for the medium group?
This is Amy. I mean, that's not our setup, but I also don't know how often I would use this to test how things look at our 3 different libraries. So, and you know, I might get a good enough idea seeing how it looks at 2 libraries.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of like the impression that I got from Lindsay as we've talked more and more is that um, the premium sandbox is obviously premium and it allows you to copy all of your institution specific um, data and configurations. And anyone who's not using premium, the sandbox is kind of like best effort, pretty sure this is how it's going to look because it's not an exact replica, and who's going to do the work to do that kind of crazy exact replication. So there, I'll just do that. And then any thoughts from Highline or Seattle? Is anyone from Spokane here? Lori, any thoughts?
I think we're
Oh, wow.
happy
Yeah,
with
we
the-
got all kinds of Pearson Highline people today.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
I think we're happy with the Sheps group that Pierce is in, and man, it'll really be in the once we get in there and digging around, then we'll figure out, oh, you know, this could change and that could change, but it looks good to start.
Okay.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, if we needed another library, couldn't we add one?
Yep. Mhm.
Just
Yeah, if you need like another specific library set up, you can add one. I just want to do some of the initial legwork so that like you guys aren't having to do all of the setup and customization every year.
Carly. Thank you,
Um,
Carly.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I was like, yeah, bare minimum, I could at least, like tweak it a little. Um, so we'll do like a 1 and a 1 and like a 1 with a 3 and then a 1 with the 5. And I'll just make sure like the different libraries have some like different user group fulfillment units, something. I get so confused unless I am looking at the diagram of the Alma hierarchy of like what goes in what, you know? Um, and I've been through that section of the stupid training, like, yeah, I don't know, 5 times. Um, so yeah, you can add additional libraries if need be. You can add campuses. I'll find out, yeah, like like I know that like any of the standard modules can be active in the sandbox, but I'm not sure about things like Rapid ILL. We can request Leganto, I know. And yeah, I'm not sure about Rialto. Um, so yeah, and it would be kind of cool to um, have maybe a group doing practice setting up libraries and terms of use, because like that could be a way that we develop some like, hey, if we're all trying to be you know closer to the same, like here's how this one's set up, here's the example, you can go all the way through and see it. um, Yeah, Highline, you guys were interesting because you do only have the one campus, but because you have a large number of students, and like pretty active and large systems staff. You guys do a lot of stuff. I wanted to get you in there with the other really like active large institutions. So if it ends up being a little weird, we can always you could try out the mediums as well. Um, so yeah, I think trying to think of anything else that I really wanted to uh, yeah, so the biggest thing is, like, oh, how do we, okay, so we've got Everett, Bellevue, and Big Bend. And obviously this group doesn't represent everybody. So I'll follow up again. But just what do we think about doing putting in a request for a refresh, like I do it like today on one of these to get one of them refreshed. And then like when I'm back from Germany, so like first week of June, and then the third request like right after start of fiscal year. So basically all are refreshed then by August. And then is anyone currently doing any projects in one of these that's like, please don't do it yet? Or do we think there's like a relatively safe one to start?
I can't speak for the other folks using the Everett Sandbox, but I'm not doing anything in it right now.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna create a poll because I like them. Sandbox to refresh first. No, type. Oh my, just kidding. I'm not doing it. I can't. I just can't. Okay. I'll send out a listserv email. But if nobody says anything about a specific one that they're in, I'll just I'll probably start with Everett since it's got that production key and we're waiting to get the new key on it anyway. We'll just start with, and that was actually the only one that had Primo V, and the other two didn't. So I'll just start at the top since that one's going to take the longest to then like reset up. And I'll give you guys I'll give notice that the request is going in. And I'll ask about Rialto. And yeah, but anyway, yeah. So if you have any ideas on configuration that would be helpful, and kind of like speed up, when you get back in after a refresh, please let me know. I'll name campuses and libraries after fun stuff. I mean, if we're doing sandboxes named based on apples, I think, what did we decide? Somebody dibs
Cosmic
things.
Crisp. We call Cosmic Crisp.
And I know Amy wanted Honey Crisp.
That might be too close, though.
I was saying that just to kind of be funny. I don't
If
care
you
what apple I
if you don't
am.
want Honey Crisp. I love Honey Crisp apples.
We could do okay, what's it called? An heirloom variety.
Stupid.
A what?
Cox Pippin, Coxpippin is an heirloom variety,
Ooh, cool.
but it's also
Okay.
kind of long. So
We could just call it Pippin. I was gonna say my parents have Transparent Kings. Ooh, Gravensteins. Let's do Gravenstein.
I'm never gonna remember. What about Gala?
yeah, I feel like
I
one
was
of them should
thinking
be
gala,
Gala.
it was short and sounds fun.
Okay. Yeah, I think rememberable is probably, yeah, okay. Too much fun, Carly. Too much fun. Okay. Cosmic Crisp, Gala, and what's
I do
another?
like Pippin though, that's very cute.
Um, oh, Pacific Rose, the crab apple. Yeah, crab apples are big. Um, oh, Fuji. There we go. And Fuji is a large mountain. Um, so we'll remember because it's big. Okay, so we got Fuji, Gala, and Cosmic Crisp, and then like I'll name the campuses. Um, like I don't know. The defaults that come in are like med campus, grad campus, um, but I'll probably do like main campus, uh, and you know, and then other ones. And the main campus will be the one that has the most libraries. Uh, so, uh, yeah, and maybe we'll name the libraries after counties, uh, or something. Uh, so, yeah, so I am eager to get these refreshes started. If anyone is interested in knowing more about the backup protocol, just out of curiosity, I'm happy to share that. I'm gonna make sure Lindsay sent me her slides. The recording is processed on Zoom, so I'll get that downloaded, and then the slides and the recording and this document will all be linked on our website. And I'll probably then also throw this document and a link to the recording, and the slides into the documentation area of our website, so it's findable in multiple places. And I don't have any problem putting the URLs for our sandboxes online, so long as then all of the usernames are not also just available online. So I think that's kind of how I was like, yes, let's just balance findability and security. And the sandbox title will change. So if I like go in, nope, it's really interesting because they have to use your username. So still learning this one. Okay, users and groups. No, general. And so there is actually categories, and I don't know how this kind of like will end up showing up on the front side. But I did kind of group them. Okay, so I've already forgot. Gala. Hmm. Nope, other parentheses. Okay, so now it's interesting because it actually changes the URL when you change the name, which is uh, I don't know if you guys can hear the hammering in the background. Okay. Well, Cosmic Chris makes me think kind of like Pluto. I mean, are you a planet? Uh, so, all right. So yeah, so I think we're set. I'll send out a listserv announcement and kind of wait to see if I get any immediate concern. And then I'll put in a request to start a refresh on the first one. And if it goes well, then we'll just keep kind of going through them and setting up the new groups. So please let your circ teams or cataloging teams or whoever might need access to Sandbox know that there's the form, and I'll just kind of monitor and make sure we don't get way too many users in any one. I just don't think it's likely. So, but ooh, workmen with saws at the Grays Harbor Circ desk. Yeesh, that sounds very loud. Okay, well, okay, next week. So I've been doing the Chat GPT boot camp, and it is, wow, tidal wave of information. So I'm just gonna put together a very short and basic kind of like conceptual overview of what the boot camp covered as far as some of the topics of interest to librarians and libraries and educators, and then like a little like how do you use it? What do you use it for? So that's kind of what we'll do next week, and we'll have those two meetings, and then we'll be at folks will be at Iluna, so we will not have meetings the week of May 8th. And then we'll have meetings when we get back, where I would love for attendees to share out stuff. And we can keep it pretty casual, or if someone just has like a burning desire to present some idea, we can certainly do that as well. And then when I'm in Germany, I am more than happy if someone wants to take like be the secondary host. I can add your email and then you can start the meeting and people can join. It just has to have a host to start it. So if someone else wants to do that, because I've got like 4 meetings. So like the Thursday, the 25th, 4 weeks from now, like I'm going to the airport at noon. Will I be completely packed and ready to go and just want to like come to work for half a day because I don't like taking vacation? Possibly. Also, my husband stresses me out when he's trying to get ready for things. So maybe I just want to retreat down here and hang with you guys. But I don't want to like guarantee that I'll be here, hence the like someone else can host. And then the Tuesday I get back like midnight on Sunday. So I'm kind of assuming that even though it's over Memorial Day weekend, it's the end of the quarter and things will have come up and I'll just be like kind of trying to catch up on email and support requests and stuff. So again, yeah, if someone wants to host. We'll definitely record the Chat GPT meetings next week. They could be kind of crazy and not useful because I'm only just learning this stuff too. But it's interesting stuff, and I think there's a lot of uses for librarians that could potentially save us a lot of time. And like I'm developing a proposal for the WLA ACRL conference at the end of October about documentation in libraries. And so like I'm like, ooh, I think I could theoretically introduce generative AI text technology as a tool for creating documentation. Anyway, Carly's nerd ideas. So I'm going to stop recording and we will have fun with Chat GPT and then get enthused by Eluna. So everyone have a great weekend. If you didn't get the link to the meetings, the next set of Zoom meetings, just let me know and I'll add you to the invite. So, okay, well, take care and we'll see you guys later.